Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at the Emirates Stadium has just got underway. It's Arsenal taking on West Ham, so it's second against the 16th. And West Ham certainly looked very good after the appointment of Graham Potter. A couple of really big results just to get themselves away from relegation trouble. Since then, that new manager bounce really has been and gone for the Hammers. And they're up against an Arsenal side who really want to carry on the good work after that impressive win away at Leicester. It took a little while for them to get their goals in the end, but two-goal Mikel Merino off the bench means that he actually starts up front this afternoon for the Gunners. And it'll be interesting to see how he gets on from the first minute in that new number 9 role that he's got. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Nathan Wastell taking the action. Nathan, it's one of those where if West Ham can make it awkward for Arsenal, it can become one of those games where things just can get a little bit difficult for the Gunners. But that said, if they get on the ball, then it could be a long afternoon for West Ham.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember watching West Ham away at Spurs, making it awkward for them in North London as well. So can they do it? Absolutely. They've got the players to do it. West Ham, has to be said, but it's with Arsenal. They're not shy of any injuries, of course. Mikel Merino leading the line, which you will cover, of course. But yeah, a little shy on the injury front, but Arsenal need to keep that pressure on the top.
They do, absolutely. Liverpool dropping points away to Villa in that game that they played weeks early because of their appearance in the Carabao Cup final. So it's a little bit of an incentive for the Gunners to get a little bit closer to Liverpool as West Ham try and get something started down the right-hand side, but Tadebo's ball to Wan-Bissaka just a little bit overhit. Just a reminder, David Raya in goal for Arsenal, back four of Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Calafiori. Odegaard, Partey and Rice are the three in midfield, with Nweri, Trossard and Mikel Merino as the attacking three for West Ham. It is Areola in goal, back three of Tadebo, Kilman and Cresswell. Then it's Wan-Bissaka and Skulls as the two my way with Alvarez, Ward-Prowse as the two in midfield. Souček, Kudus behind Bowen. I've seen another tactic written up for West Ham, another formation where they've got 5 at the back, 4 in the middle, and then just Bowen on his own up front. So wait and see exactly how it plays out, depending on how much possession they actually get going forward. But it's Arsenal now with Martin Odegaard. Just a square to Gabriel. Looks up. Doesn't want to play too much of a long ball, though, because West Ham straight away are setting up with quite a high offside as well, just to make it a little bit more difficult for the Gunners to get into their half. Nweri now trying to get things started down the right-hand side. His pass into the middle, cut out by Kudus. It's with Skulls now on the left here for West Ham. Back towards Cresswell. A ball over the top, looking for Kudus. Gets beaten in the air though by William Saliba, and the Gunners now in possession down the right here with Nweri. He gets blocked off though. West Ham have the ball back with Cresswell heading back towards the edge of his own penalty area. Areola now waiting to clear it. So just to remind you, it finished 2-2 between Everton and Manchester United in the early game, and it's goalless so far in the other games. Bournemouth, Wolves, Fulham, Palace, Ipswich, Spurs and Southampton, Brighton. All those games are available on our service as West Ham trying to get the ball away from their own penalty area. Tadebo's ball is cut out here in midfield by Gabriel. It's down the left-hand side. It's cut out here by Wan-Bissaka, but for the time being, just West Ham can't really get hold of the ball.
No, they can't, and they do need to do better when they are on the ball, but it's all very hard there. You can see how high Arsenal's line is. It's only a yard or so inside their own half, so making it very difficult, making them very unsettled. We talked about the injuries that Arsenal have, but it's still a huge task for West Ham.
It certainly is. I think that from West Ham's point of view, what they have to try and do is just take a little bit of the sting out of this bright start that Arsenal always want to have at home and just try and get into the game a little bit. We saw them do that away to Chelsea a few games ago. Albeit they did end up losing the game late on, but they certainly made a good start at Stamford Bridge. Arsenal now trying to win themselves a throw down the right-hand side. Linesman, though, goes against the Gunners. As much to Timber's frustration there, it will be a throw-on to West Ham with Aaron Cresswell now waiting to launch the ball as far down the field as he can. Still plenty of Arsenal players to try and navigate away from. But it is Cresswell now with that ball. It's headed on by Alvarez, picked up here by Kudus, who was pushed over here by William Saliba. That will be a free kick to West Ham. So slowly but surely just pushing that ball away, a bit further away from their own penalty area. It's going to be taken along, is it this time? Arteta trying to get some early instructions out to his players as well. You know that this is the sort of game that Arsenal really can't afford not to win. West Ham decided to play that one square in the end, and now it's Tadebo down the right-hand side. He finds Wan-Bissaka, and he's over the halfway line, and he's heading towards the penalty area now. It's a good run this from Wan-Bissaka, but the pass forward is awful. Souček was ahead of him, but that pass from Wan-Bissaka is at least 10 yards over here. That's a promising move, just completely wasted.
It is a promising move, you're absolutely right. Working it really nicely to that far side. Lovely bit of space for Wan-Bissaka just to move into that Arsenal half, and it's so wasteful because it was so unnecessary. He wasn't under the pressure that you really thought Arsenal would put him under, and he's just way overhit it. And Souček made the run from left to right, and in the end, complete waste. Need to be much better on the ball.
Certainly do. They don't want to give Arsenal too much of an incentive just to get the ball back as easy as that. As Noweri now having to dance away from 2 West Ham players deep inside his own half. He didn't manage to get away from the second one. It's with Kudus heading back towards Ward-Prowse. He just rolls the ball towards Alvarez. But again, West Ham's first thought was just to keep possession. They had a couple of options there to try and go diagonal, try and go long, but they prefer just to keep the ball in midfield. It's with Ward-Prowse now. Interesting that he sort of got back into the team, sort of went on loan to Forest, wasn't wanted by the previous manager, wasn't wanted at Forest, now he's back at West Ham and Potter is actually starting him.
Yeah, it's a crazy old time for him, but yeah, I thought he was a great suit for West Ham at the time, but yeah, he wasn't fancied in that spell, but Graham Potter sees something in him and recalls him, and it's interesting that he's starting week in, week out as well, but he's certainly a fantastic footballer.
Absolutely, yes. There's so many vital goals for Southampton in their campaigns to try and stay in the Premier League in previous times. And as I say, Lopetegui just didn't really want Ward-Prowse in the team, but then he ends up going to Forest, where they sort of had an excellent start to the season. He couldn't get into the team at all. And with Potter's arrival, he ends up back at the London Stadium. Here at the Emirates, 6.5 minutes gone, it is goalless. Arsenal seeing a bit more of the ball now as they're trying to push forward. So again, this very high line from West Ham is having an effect on Arsenal. They're not really able to just charge into that West Ham half as easy as they'd like to. Partey now having to go back towards Gabriel. Square to Saliba. Timber now being closed down here by Alvarez, and that pays off. Alvarez gets in the way of Declan Rice, and Arsenal now have the ball. I think they're waiting for a free kick there. Craig Paulson is not interested in anything there. It's now back with Todibo on the right-hand side. Here is Ward-Prowse. Back to Jean-Claire Todibo. Kilman now under a bit of pressure here as he's been closed down by Odegaard. He finds some space down the left here for Cresswell. But credit to Arsenal, as soon as West Ham are trying to play out from the back, plenty of pressing here from the Gunners as well. And Odegaard closing down on the goalkeeper there, forcing Areola into a quick clearance. But it's a decent clearance as well, which is kept alive by Wan-Bissaka. Just about gets away from Leandro Trossard. And now Ward-Prowse just into the middle here, finding Edson Alvarez. Looks up, but Arsenal are mirroring what West Ham are doing. They're trying to play with a high offside line as well. And Scar's now getting things started. In towards Cresswell, back to Alvarez. Now it's with Ward-Prowse. It's on the Souček. So this is a nice little bit of spell of possession for West Ham. Still around 40 yards out from goal. No real options to try and get any closer at this stage. Just now with Scholes plays that into the middle, and there is a little bit more space for Souček now. He finds Kudus. But Kudus running straight into Timber, and actually, as it turns out, when that ball was played to Mohamed Kudus, he was in an offside position. But West Ham just finding their feet in possession now a little bit.
Yeah, they are in possession, and what I'm most impressed with is out of possession, winning it high up. It's happened 2 or 3 times now in that Arsenal half, and Arsenal haven't been able to play their way out of it. Yeah, definitely similarly set up, the high line and the high press from the forward 3. At this point, West Ham are having the more joy of the 2.
They are, and I think that will be good news for Graham Potter. He'll be pleased that his side have made this sort of start, but of course it's so important in these games away from home with the big sides that you can have 20 minutes, you can have half an hour of being very well organised, but if you make one mistake, it can cost you. Arsenal now are going to try and get something started here with the former West Ham man Declan Rice, playing it back towards Saliba. Timber now in a slightly more central position, goes out to Noweri, who is over on the right-hand side. He's got an overlap as well, but he just prefers to check back in on his left foot, playing a quick 1-2 into Odegaard. Odegaard's back heel it was that intricate that even his own teammates couldn't read what he was doing, and West Ham were able to clear their lines. Yeah,
they were, but when they upped the ante there, you were worried for West Ham. There's a couple of gaps opening up, but Odegaard trying to be a little bit too cute. His teammate's fast, but he isn't that fast.
No, absolutely. They couldn't quite read what he was doing there, and even if they did, as you say, the pass was just a little bit too far away from anyone in a red Arsenal shirt. Back now with William Saliba on the halfway line. Just looking up again, seeing that West Ham line is pushing forward all the time. Just forced to go square now to Gabriel. Here is Calafiori. Calafiori finding Leandro Trossard. I think he's in a much more comfortable position for himself there on that left-hand side. Ball played towards the middle. I think it's worth pointing out, I don't think Marino's had a touch it so far.
No, I don't think he has. And that maybe speaks for him as well. West Ham have done, has to be said.
Yeah, they're keeping the Arsenal attack quiet. Certainly plenty of possession for the Gunners in midfield. Now a long ball is played up, and commentators cursed there. He does get a touch, Mikel Marino, but it was jumping for a header from an offside position. So it will be a free kick to West Ham around 30 yards out from their own goal. Chance now to try and keep possession. There might have actually been a foul there on Cresswell after all of that, as well as a potential offside. But West Ham do have the ball back. And it's now with Aaron Cresswell. What about playing it square to Kilman? He decides on a more long ball option this time, over the top of that Arsenal defence. It's slightly wayward pass, though. Kudus was chasing that one, but he couldn't keep it in place. So out for a throw to Arsenal down the right-hand side. Timber back towards Saliba. Options here for him going a little bit up the field, but for the time being, it's just been a good steady start here from West Ham. They're keeping Arsenal at bay, but as always in these sorts of games, it's just a question of how long they can do that for, and can they land a few punches onto the Gunners before then themselves. That's Arsenal can sometimes be got at defensively. This new style they've got this season, just a little bit more physical. Of course, we know that they're sort of mockingly been compared to Stoke City, which of course isn't a very fair comparison. So Arsenal have got a lot more about their game than being physical, but it's no harm to have that in your game as well. Here is Declan Rice now with a deep cross, and it's headed across by Marino. It needed a clearance there from Kilman, because there were two Arsenal players waiting. The ball getting back into the box. Odegaard hooking a ball into the penalty area. Half-hearted appeal for a handball there with referee Paulson not interested. Back on the halfway line here now with Saliba. So Timber really has made that right side his own this season. Timber heading all the way towards the edge of the area, finding Ethan Nweri. Now back to Odegaard. Two West Ham players closing him down straight away. No options for a ball into the box. Now it's with Partey. Plays it square across the edge of the penalty area. Calafiori into Rice. Back towards Gabriel. Trossard is waiting in a more wide position. A bit of awkward bounce for him to control there, but he still has the ball. He's being closed down now by Wan-Bissaka. Still gets a cross in, which, it almost ended up being an own goal there. Kilman sort of diving across his own 6-yard box. Never got a touch on it, and there was no Arsenal player really close enough.
And it's frustrating from an Arsenal point of view, and that's the question mark. If you have an out-and-out striker, do they have that sense to try and gamble on that back line? Because it's not a ball you'd expect to get as far as it did, but you always got to gamble it there, even in the back post, just in case something falls through. It was a brilliantly dug-out cross from Trossard, it has to be said. It
was, absolutely, and that's sometimes the problem for Arsenal, is they got all the right deliveries into the box, but they are missing that out-and-out number 9. It is incredible, really, when you think that, you could go back 2 seasons and you could discuss the fact that Arsenal don't have an out-and-out striker, when for the amount of money and talent they do have in this squad, it's a similar sort of situation to Chelsea not having a real out-and-out first-choice keeper, really.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a question mark there. It's not just like they've become like this season. It's been 2 or 3 seasons pushing for the title as well. It's the one gap you'd be looking at. I mean, they're not the squad with the highest depth. So, you'd think striker is something they would look at. But, again, injuries definitely playing a part this season.
No, absolutely. I say a fit Jesus, a fit Kai Havertz would be more competition for those striking places. But here is Calafiori now pushing forward. Arsenal just like to see a little bit of a bit more of the ball in attack, but still nothing really for Areola to worry about in the West Ham goal. Plenty for his defenders in the outfield, though, as here come Arsenal now. Calafiori's ball into the box. Trossard on the overlap is able to control it. Gets away from Todibo. His pass into the 6-yard box, just a little bit too short. Easily cleared by Ward-Prowse back into midfield. Kept alive here by Saliba, now going square back to his keeper, actually, Raya, who'd wandered all the way up towards the halfway line. He then leaves the ball for Gabriel, and it's with Rice now down the left-hand side in towards Trossard. At the edge of the area, playing it back towards Gabriel. Arsenal just starting to build up some numbers at the edge of the area. Partey now lifting a ball into the box, and it's not a bad one at all. Nweri was there, and he was really straightening to go. In fact, it was Marino in the end who was straining on the end to get of that one. But the ball just goes out for a goal kick.
It's not the first time Marino's getting his head in there as well. You know, we saw the one moments ago from Rice with the deep ball in that he headed back across to keep alive. He's obviously not shy at getting his head in there. We've seen it before for Sociedad, but this time it was actually his foot. I thought it was his head, but he's gone on the full stretch outside of the left boot. That's really, really awkward to even not just get on goal, but put back across.
No, absolutely, and it would have been very difficult, I think, to get any kind of a purchase on that one, really, as West Ham don't keep the ball for very long. They played a long one up towards the halfway line. It gets away from Jared Bowen, and now it's played back towards Raya, who's almost dispossessed of it as he clears it back into midfield. The loose ball is picked up in midfield here by Aaron Cresswell. Back in towards Alvarez, who's pushing forward down the left-hand side. He's got Skulls on the overlap if he wants it, but Alvarez goes alone towards the edge of the area, just holding it up, going back towards Aaron Cresswell. Here is Alvarez again, just being closed down by Partey. Over to Skulls on the left-hand side. into the middle here. West Ham seeing a bit more of the ball in front of the Arsenal goal, but still no way of going towards the penalty area. And in fact, they go all the way back into their own half now, with Areola now picking the ball up just at the edge of his own box, clearing it long now towards the lone striker there of Jared Bowen. But again, a little bit isolated there. Jared Bowen easily won back here for Arsenal when they're off down the right-hand side now with Timber. Into Odegaard, back to Yuri and Timber. So saying West Ham just dropping off a little bit, giving a bit more space here for Arsenal down the left-hand side. Now here comes Trossard back in towards Calafiori, heading towards the edge of the area. Rice being closed down by Todibo towards Trossard. Trossard now scoops the ball into the box. It's headed up in the air by Marino, but no one's there to follow up the second ball. It's now cleared back into midfield.
I think he had a bit more time than he thought then, Marino. If he got a call, he's in a little bit of space, wasn't he? A couple of yards adrift, nice ball down the line, maybe a chance to get the ball in the box.
Yeah, Calafiori's on the overlap. He lifts across, well, it's actually over everybody's head in the penalty area where he can't do anything with that. And as it turns out, Calafiori had moved into an offside position when he was chasing that ball on the overlap. But yeah, but that previous one into the box, certainly I thought that Marino had more time. Didn't need to just sort of head the ball up in the air in the way that he did. Let's say that one for Calafiori, actually, he was actually quite a bit offside, a good 2 or 3 steps away from the line. Slight grimace on the face there of Mikel Arteta. You know that this is a great opportunity for Arsenal to try and close the gap on Liverpool. Liverpool are looking very, very strong this season. But as I say, if Arsenal can finish as high in second place as they can, see possession stat 58 to 42. In possession of the gun, in favour of the Gunners. 2 attempts to nil, but neither of those have been on target so far. Now back with the West Ham back line. Todibo in towards Max Kilman. Former Wolves man being closed down. He fires a long ball, which Kudus flicks on, and he's going into a foot race with Saliba, but he's clever there, is William Saliba. Just make sure he gets his body in the way, and then he can play that one back towards David Raya. Just taking his time here, not having any kind of pressure from West Ham. I think that the pressing, I think, from West Ham, they want to do more of it inside their own half, really, to try and dispossess the Gunners. They're always going to try and close down David Raya a little bit. Any goalkeeper, of course, is can potentially make a mistake when they're put under that sort of pressure as the ball is given away in midfield. Todibo closes it down, and here is Jared Bowen now threading a ball through towards Kudus. It's a tight angle. He's not going to be able to get a shot away from there. He holds it up on the right-hand side, goes back in towards Wan-Bissaka. Here's Kudus again. Now Ward-Prowse cross coming in, and it's a header which is over the bar there from Thomas Souček. He's saying this. I'm not sure if there's a free kick been given against him there, actually. We'll see from this replay whether or not the referee thought there might have been a foul there from the tall Czech international. Possibly, but if that's the case, he might be a little bit unlucky, because I think it might have actually come off an Arsenal head. Yeah,
I think that's what he's calling for, isn't it? He wants that corner. Either way, David Wright has it at his feet, but they moved that really nicely. Lovely ball through from Bowen. Really good movement. That's what you see from West Ham off the ball when going forward this afternoon. Some really nice movement, threaded through to Kudus. Obviously, he was forced slightly wide and recycled it fairly well. But they do seem confident on the ball, West Ham. It looks like they could damage Arsenal.
That's what they'll be hoping for, as I say, to just be able to slow down Arsenal in terms of the Gunners' possession, and then just to have those little moments where they can try and push forward. They have got a real attacking threat, West Ham, if they can get those players on the ball, as Arsenal now trying to get their attacking players on the ball. Timber with a pass down the right-hand side towards Ethan Nweri, but that pass is cut out by Oliver Scholes. It's out for a throw to Arsenal now down the right-hand side, as Timber has the ball here just on the right-hand side, back in towards Odegaard. There's plenty of space here for Trossard on the left if they can pick a pass out to him. He's now being closed down by Wan-Bissaka. He still gets the ball, though, as he's exchanging passes here with Gabriel. Play back towards the halfway line now for William Saliba. And Timber finding Nweri on the right-hand side, edge of the penalty area, looking to try and get a ball in. It's quickly played back towards Timber. There's an overlap here from Odegaard. Odegaard dropping a shoulder, but it's not enough to deceive the experienced Cresswell. He then clears it long up towards the halfway line, where David Raya gives up for us. We've got our first goal in the 3 o'clock kickoff, St. Nathan.
Yeah, we do. Brennan Johnson, he started this season so well for Spurs, but on the score sheet, set up by his captain, Heung-min Son.
Yeah, good news that for Spurs that Johnson's starting. He's had injury problems as well. Who hasn't for Tottenham this season? As here come Arsenal now, a ball into the box. It's Marino with the effort. His effort goes over the bar. I'm not too sure if there was an offside appeal, because I thought there might have been a shout to say there would have been a deflection there. But the ball goes out for a goal kick in the end.
Another look, yeah, he's offside there, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he might. Yes, he is. In fact, yeah, the flag does go up. It was a bit of a delayed reaction there from the linesman, but it's a confirmation there. Marino was in an offside position, and Mikel Arteta just making a quick note of something there as he walks back to his. I say he walks back to his seat. Never really sits down during the half, does he, Arteta? He's always stood up. He's just either right on the touchline or right back near the bench.
Sit down at the back of the technical area. I think that's where he heads, isn't it? But yeah, very animated manager. He's probably the most animated manager in the Premier League, has to be said.
Yes, I agree. I think that he's one of those that seems to kick every ball with his players, which is no bad thing, of course, as long as they can keep that emotion in check. I think sometimes an over-emotional manager in that situation can have a negative effect on the players. But then conversely, if you've got a manager that really is passionate, then that can certainly translate into some more passion for the Tez. As Nathan's reaction there tells you, what a fantastic bit of control there from the Wary, picking a ball out and then puts across it, which is just a little bit too high. It's a great move from Arsenal. It was a long ball from the left, picked out of the sky there by Noweri with great control. His cross just over here, but Arsenal come again now down the left here with Calafiori. He then finds Trossard. He's been closed down here by Souček, drops a shoulder and then lifts the ball into the 6-yard box. There's 3 Arsenal players waiting, but it's hooked up in the air by James Ward-Prowse. It's kept alive here by Noweri, and now Odegaard into the penalty area here for Timber. Back to Odegaard, edge of the area now. Marino trying to tee it up for Calafiori. Really puts his foot through it, really drives that one. It's pretty much straight down the middle though, and it's a standing save for Areola.
Yeah, it's probably a fortunate one for Areola that it was straight at him. He caught it really nicely. It was a good shot, but yeah, if it's either corner, that's causing problems. But impressed with Arsenal, their movement, the small passes in and around the box, of course, that's what they're known for. But they move the ball so fantastically well, just finding a good rhythm at the moment.
Yeah, and they're finding a rhythm now as they push forward here. He's fouled is Martin Odegaard. That's a pretty easy decision there. Alvarez just trying to apologise to the referee quickly. I think he was worried there might be a yellow card there. For the time being, Craig Pawson is keeping his cards in his pocket. And it will be a free kick to Arsenal. Definitely in a shooting position here. Odegaard just getting tangled here by a bit clumsy really from Alvarez. There's never really much chance of him winning the ball there, I don't think.
No, I think he knew what he was doing. That'll probably be his last, won't it? Just went tumbling in. It was a good turn and they were moving the ball neatly and back on the attack. Arsenal definitely building momentum, so it was a clever foul, but probably his last before a caution.
Absolutely. It's Areola now trying to organise his defence. He's not got much of a wall. I think just from where the Arsenal have positioned him, it seems to me like there's more likely going to be a ball clipped in him by either Rice or Odegaard. Doesn't seem to be much of a run-up. It's probably 5 yards too far away to think about a shot at goal, but I'll hand over to Nathan for the remainder of the half just after this free kick. We're coming up to 23 minutes gone. Goalless between Arsenal and West Ham, but this is a decent free kick here for the home side. It's Rice and Odegaard. Referee Paulson are happy for this free kick to be taken, and it's Rice. He takes it on the ground to Noweri. He's got an overlap from Odegaard, but he prefers to play it square into the middle. Trossard goes for a shot, but he couldn't quite put his foot through it. He was being closed down. Ball's now hooked up in the air, headed back towards the penalty area by Saliba. It's cleared back into midfield again, and Arsenal have the ball. So we are at 23 minutes. It is goalless between Arsenal and West Ham, and it will be Nathan to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. You see what they were going for, one off the training ground, but West Ham weren't falling for it, defending it fairly neatly. Thomas Partey, that's a good run through the heart of midfield. It's not a good pass. Gives it straight to Oliver Scarles, second goal in the Premier League on the South Coast. João Pedro's given Brighton the lead against a team at the bottom of the table, Southampton. So running out of games, really, Southampton right down there. The only team not in double figures.
No, I mean, mathematically they're running out of games, but I think in all fairness, they've run out of games already, really, haven't they? I think they know what their destiny is. Certainly reading some of the comments about Leicester fans after last night's defeat as well, they probably feel like they're sort of headed for the championship as well, just because there's no bounce in the team at the moment. Yeah, and we're getting to that business end of the campaign, of course, getting towards that final international break, and then it's that final sprint towards the finish line. Ball will float over to the far side. It'll be a throw on halfway for Arsenal and for Calafiori to take this one. 24.5 minutes on the clock. It's Arsenal 0, West Ham 0. In terms of out and out big chances, there isn't much to shout about, but seen some fantastic football, it has to be said, and a lot of Arsenal possession, but West Ham staying organised and very much still in the game. Ball to the near side, Saliba to Timber, showing some good pace down this near flank. Yuri and Timber. Ball inside's a really poor one and picked up high again by West Ham. Edson Alvarez, a few yards inside the Arsenal half. Ball's just in the centre circle of the Arsenal half. Exits out to the far side. West Ham kick from right to left in their all black kit.
still on the ball. Move to the far side. That's good play. Good build-up play as Jarrod Bowen comes deep to pick up the ball, as he likes to do when he leads the line. They're just staying patient on it, West Ham. They're not conceding possession anytime soon. They just want to keep hold of it when they do get on it. Aaron Cresswell on the left side of a 3 centre-half back 5. I do believe the way they are set up this afternoon. And Tadebo's run out of space, so he's going to have to go all the way back to Areola. But one thing is, for me, I know they're down the wrong end of the table, West Ham, not where they want to be, but they don't look short on confidence, especially on the ball.
No, they don't. I think that's part of the manager bounce. I think that has stayed with Graham Potter. Just as we say, that nice little link up there between Souček and Wan-Bissaka.
And Wan-Bissaka's away. He's on the right-hand edge of the box. Can he pull it back? He can. Jarrod Bowen with the shot. Oh, it's gone wide. He dragged it with the right foot. Arriving nicely. He was picked out well by Wan-Bissaka. Pull back from the byline. You see it so often. And he's just trying to side foot that across goal. Very difficult to do, but he's dragged it wide.
He has dragged it wide. I mean, this is much better for Wan-Bissaka. Earlier on, he went on a great run down the right, but then the pass on the overlap was completely overhit. This time, it's a much more direct ball in towards Bowen. Bowen just puts his hands up to apologise, because actually Kudus, arriving just behind him, might have been in a slightly better position to take that on. But from Bowen, you know, the kind of player that he is, he gets that chance, he wants to shoot himself.
Yeah, he's the man you want it to fall to. But a goal kick to Arsenal. It's been taken quickly to Nwaneri on the near side, about halfway inside the West Ham half. Cuts inside on his left foot to Odegaard, trying to sweep it to the far side. It's pretty much in between two players. Didn't really pick anyone out. Poor pass that's picked off by West Ham. And they moved it neatly. Mohamed Kudus, he doesn't need a second invitation to run at a defensive line, and he is doing. He's trying to take on Gabriel. Move to the far side. Neat pass. Right-hand side of the box. Can the ball be put in there? It's flashed in. Too close to David Raya, who collects it in two hands.
Well, I just wonder, unless Souček's mishit that, it's a bad ball from him anyway. He's pretty much hitting that across the goalkeeper from a tight angle when he's got 3 or 4 players waiting inside the box. He should have tried to cut that back a little bit, I think.
Yeah, poor ball. It was on a bounce, but he didn't catch it right. And, well, Tottenham have doubled their lead and Brennan Johnson's doubled his count. It's 2 goals for Brennan Johnson, 2 goals for Tottenham. So at Portman Road at Ipswich, 0. Tottenham 2. So that form I was talking about early in the season, he may just be finding that once again, the Welshman. And Arsenal just have it in the centre circle of the West Ham half. They're just moving neatly into the heart of the half. 28 minutes on the clock, still 0-0. Thomas Partey clips it to Calafiore. He has movement in front of him down the line. He's looking for that. It's a really poor pass with his left foot, and finds Areola in the end. They are moving the ball well. They're moving it quickly. Then there's good movement, but at the minute, West Ham doing really well to stay organised and keep them at bay.
They are really, and I think it's a combination of Arsenal just perhaps lacking that little bit of finesse in the final third, but that's also combined by the fact that West Ham have flooded their sort of defensive third, making it very difficult for Arsenal to actually find the space. So for the time being, it's working for Graham Potter's side.
It's just, is there a bit of a gap in that forward line for Arsenal, not having that, presence leading the line? Well, remains to be seen at the minute. Of course, super sub Mikel Merino getting the match winners at the King Power Stadium. Leads the line from the start this afternoon. Kudus just taking down, I believe it was Thomas Partey. No, it wasn't. It was Julian Timber getting dragged down from his left shoulder by Kudus. Knew exactly what he was doing. Rips his man down at the floor, and that'll be a free kick to the Gunners. And just a minute away from half an hour on the clock. Arsenal back on the ball with Timber in front of the West Ham technical area in their half. He's going to move it down the line for Nwaneri. That's another poor pass that's picked off, but they'll get a second bite at it with Gabriel in the centre circle. Pretty much everyone everyone is in the West Ham half, minus David Raya, of course. And move to the far side, left-hand side of the West Ham box. Trossard looked lively since being when he has appeared on the ball from that left position. He's just checked it back to Gabriel. Get another bite at it. Will he fancy taking on Wan-Bissaka? He doesn't. Back to former West Ham skipper, of course, like Paul mentioned, Declan Rice. And returned it to sender back to Trossard. Skilled himself. He dummied one way and the ball went the other. And that's given Wan-Bissaka the chance to recuperate the ball and just hook it down the line. Jarrod Bowen's got a bit of work to do, though, as he won himself a free kick. He has. Craig Parsons blowing the whistle. And that's smart by Bowen, because he was up against it. He didn't have much in terms of support, and he's attracted that foul.
He has. He's drawn it because he knows that he's either going to lose the ball and then put his side under pressure, or he's going to just take this thing out of what Arsenal are doing and just slow things down. And as I say, the stats in terms of goal chances aren't really looking too good so far in this game. 5 efforts from Arsenal, just the one of them on target. That was that drive from Calafiore, which was straight at Areola, and the 2 efforts from West Ham, both off target.
So yeah, as you'd expect, 61% possession for Arsenal, but in terms of what they've done with it so far in this opening half an hour, 30 minutes on the clock, Not much to shout about for them yet, but playing some good football, organised. West Ham keeping them at bay at present. Ball down the line, it's not a bad one. It is a bad one. It's a very bad one. He's overhit that completely, Calafiori, once again. And that'll go all the way through to Areola and out the right-hand side of the box. I think Mikel Arteta, he won't be too displeased with what he's seen, but there just seems to be a little lack of quality in that final pass.
There is. I think that there just seems to be. Arsenal started brightly but couldn't quite break down West Ham early on. And since then, they've had little pockets of possession where they've looked good. Nice bit of link-up play here from Nweri or from Trossard on either flank. But there's nothing really to speak of in terms of some killer balls into the box. And that's probably the problem for Arsenal, which is actually something that they had a bit of an issue with against Leicester, where they had a lot of the ball, but it did take them a while to get into that sort of attacking mode. Yeah,
of course, Kieran Tierney, he'll be moving to Celtic. He's on the bench. There's Ben White, Lewis Skelly, Jorginho and Raheem Sterling, to name a few on the bench, but no striker, it has to be said.
He looks off a little bit, Sterling, when he played against Leicester last week. I've always found it quite difficult, particularly in the last few years. What is Raheem Sterling? He's not quite technical enough for a number 10, doesn't have the finishing for a striker, and he's not quite pacey enough to sort of, and good enough with crosses to be a winger. So it is quite hard to sort of find his exact role, I think, in the team.
Yeah, and he hasn't found his rhythm, it has to be said, in the red and white of Arsenal, on loan, of course, from the other side of London.
Absolutely. Just to say very quickly, it's still goalless between Bournemouth and Wolves, but now Bournemouth are down to 10 men after a straight red card for Ilya Zabani, the Ukrainian international. So it could be all of a sudden a game that Wolves would have seen as being a difficult one. Suddenly it's just made that a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's a tale of two ends of the table. You know, Bournemouth in 5th, with all due respect, in a bit of nosebleed territory for them, having a fantastic season. But yeah, down to 10, and Wolves chance to maybe collect a very vital 3 points and pull them away from that relegation zone. Of course, teams below them dropping points at present. West Ham just on the ball. It's James Ward-Prowse, right-hand side of the centre circle, drills it into Bowen. Bit of work to do, and he's tripped in the centre circle. That's going to be a free kick to West Ham. Mikel Merino getting a bit too physical on his man, and that will be a free kick. We've seen a couple of times now. Bowen, of course, he plays up front. He plays out and out for West Ham, but he does like to drop deep and pick the ball up and make it work in front of him.
He does, yeah. I mean, he's a sort of midfielder by trade, isn't he? In terms of, he started out as a sort of winger, and now he does like to go through the middle as a striker, but he can still very easily do some work back in midfield and just try and help his team out. And I think he would have spoken to Graham Potter before this game, knowing that this was unlikely to be a game where he's going to get loads of service, so he's going to have to sort of get the service himself.
Yeah, he's going to have to work hard, it has to be said. Of course, Evan Ferguson on the bench, one they've picked up from Brighton. He can, especially the lines, of course, Danny Ings there as well. So there is options on the bench.
Incredible. I mean, it's 2 seasons ago now that Ferguson burst on the scene, and he's just not. It's a combination, I think, of perhaps sort of a changeover season last year with the manager due to leave and things, but it just didn't quite work out for him, and needs to sort of rebuild his career because the talent's definitely there.
Absolutely, young lad as well. Kudus just on the left-hand side of the box, going to hook it in towards the back post. Heads go up, and I think it was Thomas Souček, not shy of aerial work. This time just gets underneath it, and it floats harmlessly past the post. Nice pick out, though. It's hard to generate the sort of power with the header that it was. But it was a lovely pick-up by Kudus, showing his quality there once again.
Well, the worry for Arsenal is that he's almost got a couple of square yards of space around him when no one's trying to close him down. And it's only at the very last second where he's being closed down by Calafiori that he just sort of rushes him into the header a little bit, and that's why he puts it wide. But that's certainly a bit of encouragement there for West Ham.
Ball on the near side for Arsenal. Going to be hooked forward. Can't find Mikel Merino. Bit of a waste once again. 34 minutes on the clock. Arsenal 0, West Ham 0. An organised West Ham, they're doing well so far. It's if they can keep it up for the full hour and a half. That remains to be seen. If they can keep Arsenal out, it's a different story if they do score, because West Ham then have to go for it. But they've been very organised and keeping Arsenal at bay. But Arsenal coming once again with Odegaard, right-hand flank, down the line for Nwaneri, right-hand side of the box. He's going to clip it in towards the back post. Not a bad ball in whatsoever. Work to be done, defending to be done. Calafiori with a shot. It's blocked on the full volley. It was more of a controlled volley with the instep. Coming again, Trossard, left-hand side. Can he get the ball in the box? Fires it in. It's an awkward old ball because it's too high to collect anyone, even on the head. And it's just gone harmlessly out to the other side for a throw.
Yeah, it's hard to understand really what Trossard was trying, unless he's mishit this, because it's too high to be a cross, and the angles are completely wrong for him to be shooting a goal as well. So we'll see this again as it's good header away from Wan-Bissaka. Calafiori drives that one straight at Ward-Prowse. I mean, the Arsenal players have got their arms up for a handball, but it hits the West Ham man on the top of the bicep from a couple of yards, and it was volleyed straight at him, so there's no way that can be a penalty.
Yeah, you're never going to get that, but you're always going to appeal, aren't you? Cresswell will take the throw on the near side, out in line with the penalty spot of his own area. The number 3 will throw it far down the line as he can, the experienced defender. Took a bounce and found Partey. Excuse me. And all the way back to Cresswell. We may just watch this out. I don't think he got a touch. No, he didn't. He did watch it out, and it'd be a goal kick for West Ham. So, if you're an Arsenal fan, I don't think there's air for concern, but they definitely haven't shown their hand yet in this game.
No, they haven't. They haven't really been able to sort of get into that full flow, and that's going to be the worry, I think, as to how the game sort of develops from here. So we can see Oliver Scarl just having a quick word there with Graham Potter on the touchline, and that red card for Bournemouth is already paying dividends for Wolves.
Yeah, and guess who? Matheus Cunha on the score sheet. 36 minutes on the clock. Didn't take long to bite back at Bournemouth after the Cherries had seen red. And down to 10 men, and now they're a goal down as well. So that'll be massive for Wolves if they were to walk away with maximum points from the Vitality. So Wolves, I'll just run you through quickly. Of course, 0-0 here at the Emirates on our screens. Arsenal, West Ham, Bournemouth down to 10 men. Zabani straight red, and Wolves have just taken the lead away. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 0. Not seeing too much happening at Craven Cottage. Ipswich 0, Brennan Johnson brace has given Tottenham a 2-goal lead, and Brighton lead at St Mary's 1-0 through Brazilian João Pedro. Arsenal get the game back underway with a free kick. Move to Martin Ødegaard on the near side. The Norwegian skipper down the line for Wanyeri. Just going to check in again centrally. It's good movement, and Wanyeri picks it up centrally once again. The number 53, left foot out to Calafiori, and moved out to the far side this time. Trossard moves inside. A lot of runs, very hard to keep track on, never mind defend. Wanyeri has it on the left side of the box this time. He continued his run. He has the overlap this time of Calafiori. And what can they do? It's going to be a back heel, back inside to Wanyeri. He's going to check inside, left foot, outside foot. Oh, it's looking for Trossard, but good sweeping up in the end by Todibo, and he needed it because it was a clever ball in from Wanyeri.
It was just starting to stack up for us a little bit. Players in and around the penalty area. Slightly deeper roll this time as the ball is played in towards Trossard. And yeah, if Todibo's not there, Trossard's got all the time he needs to get that ball into the boxes. It's game on at Portman Road. Ipswich have a goal back against Spurs. It's now 2-1 in that game, and it's Amari Hutchison with the goal.
Ex-Man City man, giving Spurs something to think about. Something to think about for West Ham here, and the need to defend this corner from the far side. Of course, their reputation this season, Arsenal, for corners and converting into goals is high. And they have a good reputation for it. It'll be former West Ham man Declan Rice to take this right-footed in-swinger right in front of his former West Ham fans. It's going to be into the heart of that 6-yard box. It's a big punch from Mariola. It's a good one. Out to Wanyeri, top right-hand corner of the box, swept into the back post, trying to be taken down, is on the chest. Calafiori, out to right, shot comes in, and it's blocked at source. It's a really strong block needed. Ødegaard shot comes in from the edge of the box. It's a weak one. It'll hit a defender's head, I should say. That'll give Oliver Scarls the chance, the 18-year-old, just to hook it clear. Asking questions there, Arsenal, really knocking on the door for the first time, but standing up strong. We have a goal at Craven Cottage. Said not much happening. Looks like Crystal Palace picking up a bit of form under Glasner. And
it's so hard to predict this season, Palace. They go from being really good to being very average, but it's Maxence Lacroix with the goal there for Palace on the 37 minutes, and it's Will Hughes with the assist. But that's a big goal that for Palace, because Fulham have been very good this season. Yeah,
I think Maxence Lacroix has been one of the transfers of the season in the Premier League. He's been very impressive for me, and every time I've watched Crystal Palace and the Frenchman on the score sheet to give the away side the lead. So we're the only Premier League game without a goal so far, Paul.
And I must admit, I didn't expect that to be the case. Looking at the games this afternoon, I thought there would be a goal or two here at the Emirates. But it just goes to show that West Ham are very cautious about Arsenal. Although, just as we say that, West Ham have actually got a bit of attacking possession.
Alvarez to the near side. Scarls venturing forward this time. In a tight corridor is Kudus, but if anyone can get out of it, he can, and he has. Outside of the left boot into the centre circle for Max Kilman. And moved over to the far side this time. 39.5 minutes. Arsenal 0, West Ham 0. Minutes just do tick by. It's a long ball look for Oliver Scarlett. So asking a lot of the young man. Can't keep it in. And it'll be a throw for Arsenal on the near side, right in front of their own manager and technical area. Into Saliba. And they'll start again, of course, with the new ball for the second half of the season, the T90 ball. Any Premier League, what was Premiership, early 2000 fans will recognise that ball before they move over to Puma next season. 5 minutes from the break, Arsenal on the ball. A big Frenchman, Saliba, on it, back to Raya. It's a high press up from the front three, and Jarrod Bowen leading that press. Gabriel beating his man, just going to stab it forward for Rice. Something to think about back to the West Ham player, so he's had to move the ball quickly. It's just inside the Arsenal half, still centrally, with Thomas Partey, who's dropped deep between the two centre-halves. He's going to move it right to Saliba. And a lot of bodies forward here for Arsenal. It's a nice ball by Saliba into the midfield. Moved out to Timber. Can he get a ball in the box? He can. It's blocked at source though by Scales, who's had a fairly decent opening half, 40 minutes or so, the young man, it has to be said. Moved inside to Odegaard. Shooting range for him. He isn't flexing the shooting muscles this afternoon so far. Got that all wrong. Sliced it way into that away stand. And, even for his standards, needs to do a lot better.
He does have to do a lot better, but it's credit to West Ham again. They really are making it difficult for Arsenal. There's been very few opportunities for somebody like Odegaard to just really get set and get a clean shot away. As soon as they get anywhere near a shooting opportunity, there are West Ham players in and around them, closing them down. So it's a very good effort this from West Ham. But I do agree that I think Arsenal probably are still 1 or 2 levels away from where they'd like to be in the final third.
3.5 to go until we hit that 45. I couldn't say there'll be that much additional time at the end of the half either. We haven't had that many stoppages, it has to be said. A couple of niggly fouls here and there.
I mean, it's no VAR checks and no physio involvement at all. But here come Arsenal now down the left.
Yeah, nice header. Maybe a chance for Rice. That's a lovely ball. Bit of space inside the box this time for the first time. Oh, he's delayed the pass inside. Hands to the head. I believe it was Declan Rice. Lovely recovery challenge by Max Kilman, but he shouldn't have been given that opportunity.
No, Rice has got enough time to play that ball already. I don't know why he's waiting until he's pretty much just a few yards away from the 6-yard box. That does give the chance for Kilman. Take nothing away. Kilman's allowed to make the challenge without ever risking giving away a penalty, but I think you're right. He shouldn't have had the chance in the first place.
Yeah, he had a lot of space on the left-hand side of the box. Do you shoot? Do you pass? He did neither. Poor touch down the line. Gave Kilman a chance to recover. Just get another replay of it. It was a lovely ball to find him. It has to be said. Oh, he just needs to look up. He's trying to get too fancy. Maybe he was in two minds. Do I pass? Do I shoot? Does neither. You've seen that so many times in football from players. And
well, that's right. Well, we always hear how quick the Premier League is, and if you're having to make your mind up what to do with the ball when you're in your possession, you're going to have time, because by the time you've made your mind up, someone's going to have dispossessed you. So just took a little bit too long there, Declan Rice. As a long clearance now from Cresswell, taken down by Kudus, but it's straight to Declan Rice.
A couple of gaps opening up here and there in the West Ham half. Stabbed through by Rice. Slide to cut it out in the end by Cresswell, and it was important he did. Because Wanyeri was bearing down on goal. Odegaard, bit of space, right hand edge of the box. Down the line it goes to Timber. Right on the edge of the box. Flicks Cruyff, turn back to Wanyeri. Trying to keep up with it. And moving the ball very quickly. They retreat it to Saliba, but stab back into that corridor on the right hand side. Odegaard just looking for a gap. Maybe trying to force it this time. And Timber can't keep hold of it. And that gives West Ham a chance just to clear their lines and get it away from goal. And maybe a chance to get a break on here to the far side. Wan-Bissaka moving down that right flank once again. He's just waiting for support. He's just delaying his run. He's got it now. Right hand side of the box. Calafiori standing up, gets the ball in the box. Header comes in. We have a goal. It's West Ham who take the lead. It's Jarrod Bowen, the skipper, diving header. Aaron Wan-Bissaka did so well. Dropped the right hand shoulder, clipped it into the heart of the 6-yard box. He was not picked up with the late run, and the diving header comes in 2 minutes from the break. It's Arsenal 0, West Ham 1.
Well, this is shades of West Ham at Stamford Bridge a few weeks ago. They kept Chelsea at bay for long spells in the first half and scored a goal towards the end of the first half to give themselves the lead. That's exactly what's happened here at the Emirates, and he needed a few goals, didn't he, here, Wan-Bissaka? A couple of earlier balls down the right-hand side, a little bit overhit, not quite where they needed to be. But look at where Bowen picks the ball up at the edge of his own penalty area and then plays the ball out to Wan-Bissaka, who still has plenty to do. He only gets it just inside the Arsenal half, and he gets all the way to the edge of the area. Not enough Arsenal players tracking back for all the great work that West Ham have done in defence. I mean, that's really poor from Arsenal, because by the time that ball gets into the box, there are actually enough Arsenal players to deal with Bowen, but no one's anywhere near him.
It's Declan Rice's man, and he just left him on the edge of the box. Diving header comes in. Credit Wan-Bissaka. Lovely cross into such a dangerous area. Rice's got no chance diving across, and he's just buried that diving header into the bottom of the net. And it's a lovely, lovely West Ham goal. To see how deep they were in their own half at the start of the build-up, like you said, Paul, where Bowen originally picks it up to where they end up. It's a very impressive goal.
It is a very impressive goal, and I think that certainly Graham Potter and the West Ham bench will be delighted, but just the bench next door will be furious, because that goal was so avoidable from Arsenal's point of view. To lose the ball in attack at the edge of the opposition's penalty area, for then just one pass from Bowen to Wan-Bissaka, one run down the right, and then one ball into the box. Arsenal had enough players back there to deal with that, but we're into 2 minutes of added time.
2 minutes of added time. Jarrod Bowen's 7th goal in the Premier League this season. Lovely diving headed goal, all made by Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Not for the first time seeing him run down that right flank. So something to think about for Arsenal. Long ball over from Raya, not finding Odegaard, but finding the hands of Areola. Half a minute into the 2 added on, and the French keeper just going to take his sweet time with this.
I'm sure he expected more work in this first half, Areola.
Yeah.
There's plenty of activity in front of him, but there's actually been very few saves he's had to make.
Yeah, he's not been under pressure. He's been limited to what he needed to do, and he'll be enjoying his afternoon so far, but he'll expect a very busy second half. If Kudus can double their lead and move it out to the near side, this looks promising. Oliver Scar's first time ball in is collected by Saliba and stabbed clear. Is that a free kick? Craig Pawson thinks so. Odegaard taking one to his right eye. And that'll be a free kick to Arsenal. Minute to go of the 2 added on, and you just feel like they'll get the ball moving as quick as they can. Get it moving as quick as they can towards that West Ham goal. Yeah, there's a bit of an elbow there, but it's enough to deem it a free kick.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure there's too much intent there from Ward-Prowse, but at the same time, he can't say that it didn't happen. So, referee right to give the decision. Ward-Prowse apologising straight away, and Arsenal have got 40 seconds to try and do something in this first half.
Partey in the centre circle of the West Ham half, moving it to the near side this time. Yuri and Timber. He's just halfway inside the West Ham half on this right flank on the near side. Wanyeri, can he try and take on Scarles? He's been kept at bay so far. And Thomas Partey driving away from his man, edge of the box, 25 yards out. Gabriel thought about the shot. Moved out to the far side to Leandro Trossard. Will he get a ball in the box? He can. It's not a bad one. Cresswell gets his head up on it, and Gabriel's just trying to head it back into the box to keep it alive. Odegaard dancing around edge of the box, trying to keep this attack alive, and that's a free kick given a bit too handsy from Timber. And you'd like to think that may just be the last action of the first half, and you really do have to credit the performance that Graham Potter and his men have put in. It's a classic Graham Potter performance, really. Very organised, and kept Arsenal at bay. It has to be said, defended very well. And Craig Pawson has blown for half-time, and well, this wasn't in the script, and there's work to be done for the team in second place. Half-time, it's Arsenal 0, West Ham 1.